Soft music drifts in, like echoes from a distant temple, calm and timeless. The voice begins, steady, inviting, full of quiet wonder. In the ancient skies of Greece, legends lived, and gods shaped the world. Among them rose one figure, bright as dawn, unshaken as stone. She was Athena, goddess of wisdom, of craft, of the shield eternal. Born not of ordinary life, but of thought, of vision, of divine clarity. Her story is more than myth. It is a mirror of strength and reason. Athena does not roar with rage, nor strike with reckless force. She guides, she teaches, she protects, she inspires. From the halls of Olympus to the heart of every city, her presence endured. The owl flew at her side, a symbol of watchful knowledge. The olive tree grew at her gift, a promise of peace and renewal. Athena stood not as destroyer, but as guardian of wisdom's light. Her shield was not only bronze, but a vow to defend truth. Her voice was not thunder, but the calm of reason in storm. And so her tale begins, eternal, radiant, and ever alive within us. The sky was heavy above Olympus, wrapped in silence and distant thunder. Zeus, the king of the gods, walked restless through the halls of heaven. His thoughts were clouded, his brow pressed by a weight he could not name. It was not war, nor storm, nor the clash of gods that troubled him. It was something deeper, a stirring of creation locked within his mind. Day by day, the pressure grew, a fire behind his eyes, a storm within. The other gods watched, puzzled, for Zeus never showed weakness. Yet his steps slowed, his gaze turned inward, his voice fell quiet. Then, in a flash brighter than dawn, the silence of Olympus broke. From the crown of Zeus sprang forth a figure, full and radiant, divine. Athena stood before them, tall, graceful, adorned in shining armor. Her eyes were clear as the sky after storm, her face calm as still water. She carried no cry of pain, no trace of birth struggle, only presence. In that moment, the gods beheld wisdom made flesh, clarity alive. Athena was born not of earth, nor sea, nor mortal womb. She was born of thought, of reason, of vision itself. Her armor gleamed like sunlight on bronze, her shield strong as promise. The owl flew near, a silent companion, marking her path with wisdom. The gods murmured, for never before had birth come so sudden, so pure. Zeus looked upon her and felt both relief and pride swell within him. For in her stood a reflection of his power, refined by thought, not force. Athena bowed not in weakness, but in acknowledgement of her origin. Yet she stood apart, her spirit free, her will her own. The halls of Olympus brightened, touched by her arrival. Even Hera, stern queen, softened her gaze upon the maiden. Hermes whispered, "She is more than a daughter, she is a guide." Apollo strummed his lyre and said, "She carries the light of foresight." Poseidon's eyes narrowed, yet even he respected her, calm strength. For Athena bore no wild storm, no reckless fire, only balance. Her first steps were steady, each echo filled with quiet power. The gods gathered, and all felt a shift in Olympus that day. A presence new yet timeless, young yet eternal, had entered their midst. Athena's voice spoke soft, clear, and measured like flowing water. "I am here not to rule, but to serve wisdom, to guard truth." The words carried far, sinking deep into every ear, mortal and divine. She promised not the chaos of battle, but the shield of protection. She vowed not the destruction of worlds, but the crafting of peace. And so her birth was more than a beginning, it was a revelation. For wisdom had taken form, clad in strength, crowned in clarity. The gods knew then, Olympus would never be the same again. Mortals too would feel her hand, guiding their choices, shaping their paths. From that day forth, Athena was called the Eternal Shield. She was guardian of justice, protector of the thoughtful, ally of the brave. Her story began with brilliance, a spark born from the mind of Zeus. Yet her destiny stretched far beyond Olympus, into every age to come. The shield she carried was not only bronze, but an eternal vow. It was the promise that wisdom and strength must walk side by side. Athena's birth was no accident, no mere myth of divine fancy. It was a reminder that clarity emerges when storms of thought collide. And so the tale of Athena began, radiant, eternal, born of the mind. Her presence stood as proof that true power is the child of wisdom. Athena grew quickly into her role among the gods, a presence steady as stone, calm as the sea. Though young in form, her wisdom was ancient, older than words, older than temples built of marble. The gods spoke of love, of passion, of alliances sealed by vows and desire. But Athena turned from such paths, her eyes fixed not on bonds of flesh, but on freedom of spirit. She declared herself maiden, untouched, untethered, devoted to clarity and the service of wisdom. Her choice was bold, for Olympus was a place where unions wove power and legacy. Yet Athena sought no partner, no consort, no shared throne. Her temple would be her mind, her heart set only upon truth and reason. This vow earned her the name Pallas Athena, the virgin goddess. She belonged not to one, but to all who sought her guidance and protection. Her independence stirred whispers among gods and mortals alike. Some wondered if she denied love, but in truth she honored a higher devotion. Athena's love was for justice, her loyalty to the shield of protection, her devotion to wisdom. She walked with grace, yet none could claim her hand, none could bind her will. Her maiden vow gave her strength beyond measure, a freedom that carried divine authority. Unlike others, she did not weave her fate with another's shadow. She stood alone, yet never lonely, for her companions were courage and knowledge. The owl flew with her, silent and watchful, a partner of spirit, not of flesh. The olive tree grew beneath her blessing, a symbol of peace, not of desire. Mortals built temples in her name, not for her beauty, but for her wisdom. They prayed not for her love, but for her guidance in times of uncertainty. They called upon her when cities trembled, when leaders faltered, when truth was hidden. And Athena answered, not with passion's fire, but with reason's calm flame. Her vow of maidenhood was not denial, but a choice of clarity. She chose not the fleeting bonds of mortal desire, but the eternal bond of wisdom. Her presence reminded all that strength does not come only from union. It also springs from independence, from self-mastery, from the courage to stand apart. The gods respected her vow, even those who did not understand it. Ares, god of war, mocked her gentleness, yet feared her strategy. Aphrodite, goddess of love, smiled knowingly, but saw Athena's power in restraint. Zeus himself admired her choice, for she embodied his mind without his storm. Hera, queen of Olympus, found in her a daughter of resolve and dignity. Among mortals, maidens prayed to her for strength to remain steadfast. Warriors prayed to her for guidance, trusting her reason over Ares' rage. Craftsmen and thinkers honored her, seeing in her hands the patience of creation. Her vow gave mortals courage to live by their own choices, not by demand. It taught them that independence could be sacred, not a burden or shame. Athena's maidenhood was a mirror of discipline, clarity, and balance. She stood as proof that a heart could burn with purpose, even without passion. She showed that love of justice was as noble as love of another. Her story carried across generations, whispering of freedom within the soul. Temples rose, not to bind her, but to honor her vow and her strength. Her eternal virginity became a symbol, not of absence, but of devotion fulfilled. Athena remained untouched, unclaimed, unbroken, a goddess of her own design. And so she walked Olympus, her head high, her shield strong, her vow unshaken. In her independence, she became a beacon, a light for those who sought freedom. The world learned that her maidenhood was not silence, but a voice eternal. It was a vow to wisdom, to clarity, to the eternal shield she carried within. In the heart of Olympus, Athena carried a gift unlike any other, a shield called the Aegis. It was no ordinary shield, no simple armor of bronze hammered by mortal hands. The Aegis shimmered with divine light, alive with power that seemed eternal. Legend said it bore the image of wisdom itself, a promise carved in radiance. When Athena held it high, the shield was more than protection, it was presence. It whispered calm to allies, it stirred awe in those who saw it gleam. No enemy dared face her, not for fear of force, but for fear of truth revealed. For the Aegis did not strike, it reflected. It revealed the heart of every soul. The shield was a vow, a guardian's promise to defend not just bodies, but ideals. Athena herself became known as the Eternal Shield, for she carried both symbol and spirit. Mortals saw in it the strength to endure, the courage to stand when storms rose. The gods saw in it a reminder that true power was not destruction, but balance. When she walked among heroes, the Aegis hung by her side, glowing softly. It was said the shield's gleam banished fear from those who sought justice. Its power was not to destroy, but to protect, to shield the innocent from harm. Unlike weapons born of rage, the Aegis was born of wisdom's calm clarity. It reminded all that force guided by reason could preserve, not only conquer. Athena lifted it when cities faltered, when leaders lost their way. The sight of the Aegis restored courage, like light breaking through storm clouds. Poets sang of it, not as weapon, but as symbol of truth unbroken. The olive tree and the owl, her other emblems, found kinship with the shield. Together, they told of peace, of knowledge, and of strength and harmony. Mortals prayed not for victory alone, but for Athena's shield to guard their homes. They carved its image on coins, etched it into walls, raised statues in its honor. To them, the Aegis was a promise, that wisdom would not abandon them. Athena knew this power was not hers alone, but a trust given by fate. She bore it with dignity, never boasting, never wielding it in arrogance. Even Zeus, who had known thunder's might, looked with respect at her shield. For where thunder destroyed, the Aegis preserved, a balance to his storm. Among mortals, tales spread of its gentle strength, its quiet assurance. Travelers carried charms with its likeness, hoping Athena's shield would guide them. Mothers prayed over children with words of the eternal shield upon their lips. Leaders sought its blessing before decisions, knowing wisdom guided protection. Athena never failed them, for the shield's essence was clarity and fairness. It was said that when she raised it, lies could not stand. Truth revealed itself like sunlight, clearing shadows of deceit and fear. Thus the Aegis was feared not by the just, but by the unjust. It was not a weapon of war, but a mirror of the soul. Those who looked upon it with pure hearts felt only peace. Those who hid malice trembled, exposed by its divine light. Athena's shield became not only her emblem, but her eternal companion. It walked with her through temples, through cities, through the ages of men. It became a symbol not of victory alone, but of trust and guidance. Mortals remembered her not for blood, but for the shield that guarded them. Through time, the Aegis became legend, then myth, then eternal inspiration. But Athena remained, carrying it always, calm, steadfast, radiant. The eternal shield was never only bronze, never only divine light. It was the vow of a goddess, to stand where wisdom must prevail. And so the shield of Athena lived on, bright and eternal as her name. Heroes walked the earth, bold and restless, each seeking glory, each tested by fate. Among them, few found their path alone, for gods often watched and whispered. Yet none guided with such steady hand as Athena, the goddess of wisdom. She did not lift the sword for them, but she lit the way. Her counsel was clear, her presence a calm light against the storm. When Odysseus wandered far from home, Athena's spirit followed him. She whispered courage when seas raged, offered clarity when doubt clouded his heart. In his trials, he leaned not on strength alone, but on cunning shaped by her. Athena taught him that wit could be sharper than steel, and patience stronger than rage. So he endured, and his tale lived as proof of wisdom's guiding power. Perseus, too, found her hand upon his journey, though not in battle's strike. She gifted him a polished shield, not as weapon, but as mirror of truth. With it, he faced shadows, not by force, but by reflection, turning fear to light. Her gift saved him, for Athena knew victory rests in clarity, not recklessness. Each hero who walked with her felt not pride, but reverence, for she was calm. She never claimed their triumphs, but she shaped them with quiet strength. Unlike Ares, who drove warriors to rage, Athena taught balance and foresight. She showed that a shield raised in wisdom can guard nations for generations. Her guidance was like the olive tree she planted, steady, fruitful, and enduring. In moments of despair, heroes remembered her words like whispers in still air. She did not speak often, but when she did, her voice rang eternal. Choose not haste, but thought. Choose not fury, but reason. Choose not fear, but truth. These words carried mortals through storms, deserts, and dark nights of the soul. She was no conqueror's patron, but the guardian of those who sought just cause. Athena walked beside Jason as he gathered companions for his fateful quest. She taught him the value of unity, that no hero triumphs alone. She guided Hercules in tasks that tested more than muscle, tasks of mind and spirit. When Theseus entered the labyrinth, she gave him a thread, simple yet profound. Not a weapon, but a guide, a symbol that wisdom shows the path. Thus, her heroes did not destroy blindly, but learned, endured, and grew. They left behind not ruins, but legacies of courage bound with reason. Poets sang of their triumphs, yet always Athena's name appeared in the verses. For though unseen, her presence shaped the steps of men and women alike. Mortals prayed not only for strength, but for Athena's light upon their choices. She answered not with thunder, but with steady guidance, subtle yet sure. Her heroes stood taller because she walked silently beside them. She gave them tools not of war, but of clarity, patience, and vision. Through them, her spirit became known as protector of just endeavors. Her touch was not only for kings or warriors, but for any who sought wisdom. Farmers felt her blessing in harvests guided by fairness and care. Craftsmen felt her spirit in the shaping of tools and temples alike. Leaders sought her counsel before judgment, fearing injustice more than defeat. And common folk whispered her name when storms of life grew heavy. Athena's guidance was never loud, never cruel, but strong as the eternal shield. In her, heroes found not only victory, but purpose that endured beyond life. Her story became theirs, their legacy bound to her wisdom forevermore. And so she was remembered as the goddess who guided, not by force, but by light. Athena, patron of heroes, eternal shield, eternal voice of reason. In the heart of Greece, cities rose like jewels upon the land, each seeking favor of gods. Among them stood Athens, a place destined to carry Athena's eternal name. Long before its walls and columns, the city was a dream in mortal hearts. It was land rich with soil, hills, and the embrace of sea winds. Two gods set their gaze upon it, each desiring to claim it forever. Poseidon, lord of waves, brought power of the sea as his offering. He struck the earth with trident, and a fountain of salt water burst forth. The people marveled, yet the water was harsh, undrinkable, wild as the tide. Then Athena stepped forward, calm and radiant, bearing her gift of peace. She planted the olive tree, small, delicate, yet strong against the wind. Its roots sank deep, its branches promised fruit, oil, and wood. This gift spoke not of conquest, but of life, of sustenance, of harmony. The people saw its worth and bowed to her wisdom with joy. Athena was chosen as their guardian, and the city bore her name. From that day, Athens carried her light, not as war prize, but as trust. The olive tree became symbol of prosperity, its branches crown of victory. Its oil-lit lamps fed families and anointed the sacred in worship. Thus, Athena bound herself to the people, not through fear, but devotion. She was their guide, protector, and muse in arts, crafts, and governance. Temples rose in her honor, marble glowing like dawn upon sacred hills. The Parthenon would one day rise, echoing her spirit in stone. Its columns did not speak of power alone, but of balance and beauty. Athens thrived not through force, but through reason and wisdom's guiding flame. It became a beacon for learning, debate, and the shaping of just laws. Athena's influence wove into every thread of the city's daily life. Sculptors carved her form, not in fury, but in poise and clarity. Philosophers sought her blessing as they questioned the nature of truth. Weavers and craftsmen whispered her name as hands shaped fabric and clay. Athena was not distant. She was present in the rhythm of the city. When councils gathered, her wisdom was invoked before decisions of state. When ships sailed, her blessing was sought to return with peace and trade. In festivals, her story was sung with joy, olive wreaths carried in procession. Children learned her name as they learned their letters, first prayers of hope. Athens was not only stone and market, but a living tribute to her light. Even in conflict, her people remembered she was not goddess of rage. She taught them to defend wisely, to protect what was just and true. Her shield was their shield, her olive tree their promise of tomorrow. And so Athens grew, a city of reason, art, and enduring strength. It shone as reflection of Athena herself, both firm and compassionate. Travelers from afar spoke of its beauty, its order, its radiant wisdom. They marveled not only at temples, but at the spirit that filled its streets. For every stone, every word, every act carried the mark of Athena. The goddess had given not a fleeting gift, but a living legacy. Her bond with Athens was eternal, stronger than bronze, brighter than flame. The city would stand as testament to her vision for all ages. And the olive tree, still rooted, whispered her name in the wind. Athena was not just guardian of Athens, but its soul, its breath, its shield. From this union, her legend spread far, eternal in story and in stone. The goddess of wisdom was not only honored in marble halls, but in the pulse of daily life. Athena lived in the rhythm of work, in the patience of craft, in the clarity of thought. She was guardian not of conquest, but of the mind's triumphs and the hand's creations. Her blessing touched the loom, where weavers shaped threads into patterns of grace. Every shuttle's passage was a hymn to her skill, each tapestry a prayer in color. Women whispered her name as they wove, believing her spirit moved within the threads. The cloth told stories, not of battle, but of harmony, myths, and the wisdom of order. Athena's gift of weaving was more than art. It was a symbol of structure in chaos. She taught that every life, like thread, finds meaning when woven with others. In the marketplace, craftsmen carved stone, forged bronze, and shaped wood with precision. Each act of creation was a reflection of Athena's hand guiding their vision. Potters spun clay into vessels, steady and patient, as if the goddess watched. Their jars carried not just water and wine, but the presence of her discipline. She was the silent teacher behind every stroke of chisel, every curve of sculpture. The Parthenon itself stood as testament to her artistry, balance carved in marble. Columns rose like hymns in stone, speaking of proportion, clarity, and eternal strength. Athena's wisdom was not confined to temple walls, but spread into the minds of thinkers. Philosophers gathered in shaded groves, seeking truth in dialogue and reflection. They invoked her name as they asked questions of justice, virtue, and the nature of man. Her presence was not in answers given, but in the courage to keep asking. Athena taught that wisdom is not possession, but pursuit, a flame passed between minds. Children in Athens learned letters under her blessing, eyes wide with wonder. They traced shapes in the dust, first sparks of knowledge, each line a gift of clarity. Athena was patron not of the strong alone, but of every seeker of truth. She inspired poets who sang of gods, heroes, and the mortal heart's longing. Their verses carried her spirit, measured, clear, and filled with reverence for order. Her name was written in every scroll that sought to preserve human thought. Scribes prayed for her guidance as ink shaped words upon fragile parchment. Through her, learning became sacred, a bridge between mortals and the divine. She taught that knowledge is shield and sword, defender of freedom, bringer of peace. But Athena's gifts demanded respect, for arrogance could blind even the skilled. Mortals who boasted of their craft found her lessons humbling and stern. She valued humility, patience, and devotion above pride in fleeting talents. Her story with Arachne was whispered as warning to those who forgot reverence. A mortal skilled in weaving challenged the goddess, daring to outshine her divine hand. The contest was close, the work dazzling, but pride clouded mortal wisdom. Athena did not strike in wrath, but reminded all that gifts must honor the giver. Weaving was not mere contest, but sacred act, a mirror of cosmic order. The tale spread as lesson. Talent without humility loses its path to wisdom. Thus, craftsmen, poets, and scholars remembered to bow their hearts before her. They offered olive branches, tokens of respect, before touching their tools. Athena's presence was gentle yet firm, guiding with steady, unseen hand. She did not demand temples filled with gold, but minds filled with clarity. Her legacy lived in the work of hands, the shaping of thought, the harmony of art. Every creation born in Athens bore the touch of her eternal shield of reason. She was goddess not of distance, but of nearness, felt in every task of life. Through her, the city learned that wisdom is not rare treasure, but daily bread. Her blessing was steady, her light quiet, yet it never faded. Athena was not only worshipped in silence of temples, but in heartbeat of creation. And so her story lived in every loom, every scroll, every carved stone of Greece. In the vast tapestry of myths, Athena's wisdom stretched far beyond Athens' sacred hills. She was not bound to one city alone, but to all who sought reason's light. Mortals across Greece told stories of her presence in times of decision and strife. When kings debated, they prayed for her clarity to guide their judgment. When farmers planted seeds, they asked her blessing for balance in harvest. Her spirit was everywhere, not as thunder, but as calm voice of insight. In Sparta, warriors admired strength, yet even they honored Athena's wisdom. They knew that battles, won without reason, soon turned hollow in memory. Athena taught them discipline, not fury, reminding them that order sustains power. In Thebes, her counsel was sought when disputes threatened to divide the people. She was invoked in councils, her name spoken with respect before choices of law. Even in Delphi, where Apollo's oracle reigned, Athena's influence was honored. She stood as complement to prophecy, guiding mortals to act with reason. While oracles spoke of fate, Athena reminded them of responsibility and choice. Her wisdom reached islands, harbors, and mountain villages through song and tale. Travelers carried her stories as they crossed seas and wandered roads. Sailors told of her shield shining in the night, guiding ships to safety. Farmers spoke of her olive tree as symbol of hope in drought and storm. Mothers whispered her name as they taught children to seek fairness and truth. In every place, Athena's image was steady, unchanging, eternal. She was not feared like gods of storm, but revered as guardian of clarity. Her temples stood not only as places of worship, but as centers of community. There, people gathered not just for ritual, but to learn, to discuss, to share. Her festivals echoed with joy. Olive branches carried as signs of peace. Women joined men in honoring her, for Athena's gifts were shared with all. She belonged not to one gender, one rank, one city, but to all humanity. In her, mortals found a goddess who valued thought above power. Her worshippers were not bound by fear, but by devotion to wisdom. Athena's influence crossed borders, reminding all that truth knows no walls. She was goddess of open sky, of reason flowing like clear river across land. Wherever her name was spoken, minds opened, hands created, hearts found balance. Her presence inspired leaders to govern with fairness, not pride. It guided artisans to work with patience, not haste. It shaped children to grow with curiosity, not ignorance. Athena's temples often stood near markets, where life's pulse was strongest. They reminded people that wisdom must dwell where decisions are made daily. In law courts, her name was invoked as shield of justice. Witnesses prayed she grant courage to speak truth, even when it was hard. Judges prayed for her insight, that their verdicts serve peace, not pride. Thus Athena became more than goddess. She became guardian of society's core. Her wisdom was law without tyranny, order without cruelty, strength without arrogance. Through her, Greece found balance between freedom and duty, reason and faith. Her influence even touched the arts beyond Greece's shores. Stories of her traveled with traders, finding ears eager for light of wisdom. Foreign lands wove her name into their own tales, reshaping her image yet keeping her essence. For wisdom is not confined. It flows, shared, eternal, like Athena herself. She stood as proof that the divine can guide without chains, inspire without fear. Her presence was like the steady flame of a lamp, lighting every corner of life. Athena belonged to no one, people alone. She belonged to the world. Her legacy spread in whispers, in teachings, in stories carried by wind and sea. The eternal shield of Athena stretched across time and land, unbroken and radiant. And wherever her name was spoken, the world felt a little brighter, a little clearer. For Athena's gift was not only to Athens, but to all who sought her light. In the heart of Athens, Athena's temple stood tall, watching over the people with quiet grace. Its marble columns shone in sunlight, casting long shadows that touched the bustling agora below. Merchants called out their wares, but their voices softened when they passed her sacred steps. They knew this was no ordinary place. It was a house of wisdom, a shield for the city's soul. Inside, the air was calm, filled with incense and prayers whispered in steady rhythm. Statues of the goddess stood proud, each carved with care by hands devoted to her spirit. Her image was everywhere, a reminder of balance, reason, and protection beyond steel or stone. The Parthenon itself, built in her honor, gleamed like a jewel upon the Acropolis. It was not only a temple but a symbol of Athens' pride, culture, and eternal bond with Athena. Every block of marble spoke of patience, every carving of devotion to her eternal light. Citizens climbed the hill to offer olive branches, simple gifts from her sacred tree. The olive was more than a fruit. It was peace, prosperity, and a link to divine wisdom. Athena's gift of the olive tree gave Athens nourishment, oil, and wood for daily life. It reminded all that true strength was not in conquest, but in creation and harmony. Festivals in her honor filled the streets with music, dance, and laughter of children. The Panathenæa, most sacred of celebrations, gathered all of Athens under her gaze. Processions climbed the Acropolis, citizens carrying woven robes embroidered for the goddess. These garments, called peploi, were adorned with patterns telling stories of gods and heroes. Athens itself felt alive during these days, a city united in devotion and pride. Athena's presence was not distant, but near, felt in every drumbeat, every song, every step. Artists and poets found inspiration in her, shaping works that still echo through time. Sculptors carved her form, painters adorned vases with her shield and wise gaze. Poets sang of her wisdom, weaving words that carried her spirit across generations. Philosophers, too, found in Athena a muse for their search for truth and clarity. They gathered in shaded courtyards, speaking of justice, reason, and the order of the world. Plato and Socrates, centuries later, would echo her spirit in their pursuit of wisdom. Athena's temple was not just stone, but a living place of thought, learning, and balance. It was said that even the air around it carried her calm, steady presence. Travelers from distant lands marveled at the Acropolis, calling it a wonder of the world. They returned home with stories of the radiant city and its wise protector goddess. Her influence stretched beyond borders, as Athena's name became a beacon of clarity. Athens prospered under her guidance, flourishing in trade, art, and philosophy. The city became not just powerful, but enlightened, a center of human achievement. Through Athena's wisdom, Athens discovered balance between beauty and strength, reason and faith. She stood not only as protector, but as teacher, guiding the city through its brightest age. Even when challenges came, the people felt courage knowing her shield was above them. They believed their goddess walked among them, unseen but ever present in their hearts. Her temple was a gathering place, not of fear, but of hope, reason, and clarity. Pilgrims came not to beg for miracles, but to seek strength to shape their own path. That was Athena's true gift. Not answers, but the wisdom to ask better questions. Her eternal flame burned not in war, but in thought, not in conquest, but in harmony. The Parthenon still stands today, a silent witness to her timeless light. Though centuries have passed, the spirit of Athena lingers in every stone and shadow. She remains the guardian of reason, a goddess whose wisdom outlives empires. And in the city that bears her name, her legacy is carved into the soul of the world. Athena's temple was more than a monument. It was the heart of an idea eternal. That wisdom, courage, and balance can shield a people stronger than any wall. And so the Eternal Shield Goddess stood, watching, guiding, and inspiring across all time. Athena's wisdom was not bound to marble temples or sacred groves alone. It lived in the choices people made, in the balance they sought each day. Her presence was like a quiet compass, steady even in the storm of human life. In the courts of Athens, her influence was strongest when justice was at stake. Citizens gathered to hear cases, each voice carrying the weight of truth or deceit. Athena was invoked as guardian of fairness, her name spoken before every trial began. It was said her spirit hovered above, unseen yet powerful, urging honesty and balance. Judges prayed for clarity, not power, hoping to reflect her wisdom in their verdicts. Witnesses sought courage, knowing that false words would never escape her sight. Athena's shield was more than bronze. It was a symbol of truth, shining against lies. The Areopagus, Athens' ancient council, carried her spirit in its solemn duty. There, decisions were made not with haste, but with patience born of reason. Her influence shaped laws that valued order without crushing freedom. It guided leaders to rule with service, not pride. And in moments when the city wavered, her presence reminded them of harmony's path. Beyond Athens, her wisdom touched craftsmen and artisans in their humble work. Potters prayed for steady hands as they painted her stories on clay. Weavers whispered her name as they crafted patterns of beauty and strength. Builders honored her patience in every stone carefully placed for lasting walls. Through her, they learned that true creation required both discipline and inspiration. Farmers, too, felt her guidance in the rhythm of planting and harvest. They looked to her olive tree, strong and resilient, as symbol of survival and hope. When droughts came, they remembered her gift and trusted in renewal. Athena was present in every hand that shaped, in every mind that planned with care. She was goddess of wisdom, but also of craft, a protector of human skill. Her name was whispered in workshops, temples, fields, and marketplaces alike. No task was too small to invite her light, no labor unworthy of her blessing. Even sailors carried her image on their voyages across uncertain seas. They carved her owl on their ships, a sign of vigilance guiding them through night. They prayed to her, not for calm waters, but for courage to face storms with clarity. Athena's wisdom taught them that strength was not in fighting the waves, but steering with reason. Her spirit moved like wind, unseen but steady, pushing sails toward safe harbors. In households, too, her influence was quiet but constant. Mothers told their children stories of the goddess who prized thought over force. Fathers reminded sons and daughters that true bravery was born of wisdom. Families placed olive branches above their doors as symbols of her peace. In every story, Athena was not distant, but close, woven into daily life. She was not worshipped in fear, but loved with respect, a companion in struggle and joy. Her temples were grand, but her presence was felt most in humble places. For Athena's true power was not only in monuments, but in the spirit of her people. Every judgment, every craft, every harvest, every voyage carried her eternal touch. She was the unseen teacher, the gentle guide, the eternal shield of clarity. And though time moved forward, her lessons remained as steady as stone. Athena reminded mortals that wisdom is not distant, but found in each choice. It lives not in grand speeches, but in simple acts of fairness and creation. Her eternal shield was not forged of bronze alone, but of truth, balance, and devotion. Through her, Athens and all of Greece found strength that no war could break. For Athena's gift was not conquest, but harmony, not dominance, but light. And so her story lived not in silence, but in every corner of human life. The goddess of wisdom walked with mortals, unseen yet forever present in their hearts. Her shield, her owl, her olive tree, symbols of hope, clarity, and resilience, eternal. Thus Athena became not only protector of a city, but guardian of humanity's spirit. As centuries passed, Athena's wisdom did not fade, but evolved with the world. She watched over. Empires rose and fell, cities changed, yet her spirit remained, woven into the heart of humanity. Where once marble temples stood, now stood libraries, academies, and halls of learning. Yet in every page turned, in every question asked, Athena's presence lingered. The goddess of wisdom had become more than myth. She was a symbol of human potential. In the early schools of philosophy, her influence could still be felt in every pursuit of truth. Students gathered beneath shaded colonnades, debating justice, virtue, and the nature of the soul. They did not see her, but they spoke her language. Reason, clarity, and thoughtful inquiry. Her owl, once carved into shields, now adorned manuscripts and scrolls as a sign of knowledge. The olive branch, once a sacred gift, now symbolized peace among nations and peoples. Athena's shield had become the shield of dialogue, protecting ideas from ignorance and fear. Even as new gods and faiths rose, her legacy endured in the timeless value of wisdom. The Romans called her Minerva, and they too honored her as guardian of reason and craft. Artists sculpted her likeness, not just as a goddess, but as a figure of intellect and dignity. Writers invoked her in their works, poets praised her in verse, scholars drew strength from her name. Athena's spirit was alive not in temples, but in minds that refused to stop seeking. Her influence reached beyond the Mediterranean, carried by trade, conquest, and curiosity. In distant lands, she became a metaphor, a symbol of the light that guides civilization forward. Even when forgotten by name, her ideals lived on in science, law, and art. Every invention born of thought, every debate shaped by reason, bore her invisible signature. She was there when laws were written to protect justice over tyranny. She was there when artists sought beauty not just to please, but to express truth. She was there when explorers charted unknown seas, driven by curiosity, not conquest. Athena's wisdom was not bound to Greece. It was a gift for all who dared to think. Her eternal shield now protected humanity from ignorance, fear, and blind hatred. It reminded people that power without wisdom is fragile, and knowledge without purpose is hollow. As centuries turned into millennia, the memory of the old gods faded for many. Yet Athena endured, not as a figure of worship, but as an idea too powerful to vanish. Her name appeared in the foundations of schools, in the crests of cities, in the symbols of nations. Statues of her still stood, not as idols, but as monuments to the timeless pursuit of understanding. Writers in the Renaissance rediscovered her myths and wove them into their vision of humanity. Philosophers of the Enlightenment spoke of reason and liberty in words that echoed her voice. Even in the modern age, her symbols remain: the owl, the olive branch, the wise and steady gaze. They appear in universities, courts, and governments, reminders of the values that sustain societies. Athena's legacy had become universal, not bound by temples or rituals, but by human progress. She was present in every classroom, every debate, every decision made with thought and care. And though few pray to her now, countless lived by the light she had kindled long ago. For Athena had taught humanity its most important lesson, that wisdom is not a gift, but a choice. It must be sought, cultivated, and protected as fiercely as any treasure. And in choosing it, mortals carry forward the eternal shield of the goddess herself. Through them, Athena lives on, not as a distant deity, but as a quiet voice within, a whisper urging courage in doubt, patience in anger, clarity in confusion. The world had changed beyond recognition, but her essence had not. For as long as humans seek truth, build, create, and strive for harmony, Athena endures. The eternal shield is not in the heavens, but in the hearts of those who choose reason. And in every age, in every culture, her light shines, guiding humanity toward what it can become. The story of Athena draws to a close, yet her spirit lingers. She is not just a goddess of marble and myth, but a presence that endures. Her wisdom was not caged in temples, nor locked in scrolls of forgotten scholars. It flowed through the streets of Athens, through voices, through choices, through lives. Her shield was not only bronze, it was the courage to stand firm in truth. Her spear was not for conquest, but for the defense of clarity and justice. Her owl was not only a bird, but the unblinking eye of reason. Her olive tree was not only wood and fruit, but a bond of peace among people. Through ages of change, her light did not fade, though empires crumbled. The Parthenon still stands, scarred by time, but whispering her name to the sky. In every stone, in every column, her story is carved, resilient, and proud. Athena's presence is more than divine memory. It is a living lesson. She teaches that wisdom is not passive, but active, guiding every step we take. She shows that true power is not in domination, but in protection. She reminds us that peace is not weakness, but a strength deeper than iron. The eternal shield is not an artifact. It is the promise of reason's defense. In the noise of the modern world, her calm voice still echoes. It says, seek truth, guard knowledge, and nurture peace. It says, stand not with fear, but with clarity and courage. It says, be strong not in silence, but in thoughtful speech and wise choice. Athena's story is not locked in the past. It breathes in the present. Every time we choose dialogue over discord, her shield shines again. Every time we protect the vulnerable, her wisdom awakens once more. Every time we plant hope where despair was rooted, her olive tree grows anew. The goddess of wisdom walks not in clouds, but in the hearts of people. She stands with teachers who open minds with patience and light. She stands with leaders who govern with reason, not with anger. She stands with creators who shape beauty with hands steady and clear. She stands with seekers who look at the stars and ask, why? She stands with dreamers who imagine a future woven with peace. Athena is eternal, not because myths are retold, but because her essence is real. In every library, in every academy, her whisper turns into guidance. In every debate, in every fair decision, her spirit gives weight to justice. In every invention, in every spark of creativity, her wisdom is alive. Athena is not gone. She is within, waiting to be seen. Her shield reflects not war, but light strong enough to calm darkness. Her name is more than a memory. It is a call to awareness. And so we close her tale. but not her presence. For as long as minds seek truth, Athena will walk beside them. As long as hands build peace, Athena will guard their work. As long as hearts believe in the strength of reason, Athena will live. Her story does not end here, for wisdom cannot end. It flows, eternal, like the olive tree's roots deep in the earth. It soars, unbound, like the owl's wings across the evening sky. Athena remains, the eternal shield, radiant, unbroken, forever within us.